Just want to welcome everybody here. There's some people that didn't join last week, some people that did, and I just want to say assalamu alaikum and
Walaikum salam.
okay, hey Amy.
Sister Martina, we lost your audio.
We'd like to start off with a dua, so I'll go ahead and do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to just thank Allah. We want to thank you for bringing us here together today, Allah, to learn more about you and the good manners that we want to use on each other and others, Allah. And Allah, we ask that you would please protect us from bad manners, as we know it goes both ways. So we ask that you continue to protect us, lead us, and guide us in the right way. And Allah, we want to make sure that we get something out of today's meeting. And this is not just a talk, Allah, it's just for us to converse together, learn from each other, and share with each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask that you continue to bless us with your goodness and your mercy. And thank you, Allah, for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for conducting his good manners and giving us the sunnah that we want to follow. Assalamu alaikum. Ameen. Okay, so Amy, what I'd like to do is start off with what we covered last week. So if you want to kind of do like a little recaps for those that did not join and would like to learn more about what we covered last week.
Excellent, excellent. So we talked last week, we started talking about adab and just exactly what is adab. We kind of translated as manners and, decency, morals. And we had two quotes from the Quran that we think speak especially to this area. And I'll give you one, and then I'll let Sister Martina give you one. So the first one is from Al-Shams. It's Surah 91, ayahs 7 through 10. It says, consider the human self and how it is formed in accordance with what it is meant to be, and how it is imbued with moral failings as well as with consciousness of God. He shall indeed attain to a happy state who causes this self to grow in purity, and truly lost is he who buries it in darkness. So, Sister Martina, do you happen to have your Quran quote?
I have the ayat. I don't have the quote right now in front of me, but it's Surah 49 Al-Hujurat, and it's 1 through 7, 1 through 6.
1 through 6. Okay, so maybe Payam, if you don't mind, if you could, just post it on the chat, and then people can. Great.
Yeah, and I like that. We should try to do our studying, not just, rely on each other, but we want to do our individual studies. So this is called, actually, Payam, if you don't mind putting that in the chat, I appreciate it because you did last time.
Yeah, so everybody has homework. They need to read up a little bit more. So we were talking about definitely how adab can translate into God consciousness, and that some of the adab or manners, some of the manners is some of the actions are kind of arbitrary if you think about it. But it's the meaning behind them that becomes important. And so if you, just like in the United States, when you greet somebody, a lot of before COVID, we would, women would put out their hands for other women and men vice versa. And, what's the meaning of sticking your hand out? Well, it really has no meaning, except that our culture has developed a meaning around that. And likewise with Allah, He has given us some customs, some manners, some ways of respecting each other and ourselves that are part of Zek. They're part of a way to help remember God, so that we're not only praying 5 times a day, but that through our daily routines, we're constantly reminded of God. And it kind of makes something that might be just mundane, like tonight we're going to talk about eating and drinking. It makes something like that almost a holy action, a way to worship God.
I agree. Definitely, we get rewards for conducting good manners and just learning what those manners are. As a new Muslim, I must say that, we take a lot for granted. We do this, all the time. So as far as manners toward each other, and that's just a kind heart. And I believe that that's something that actually leads us to the deen. It leads us to Islam, is because we respect those manners. We see other people, we're interested, we're curious, and it just opens the door for us to learn more about the goodness of Allah. And part of that is conducting good manners. Now, there's specific, rules and things that are written in the Hadith and in the Quran that outlines what those good manners are. And we touched on some of the eating and drinking, some of that last week, but we can just go over it again and talk about that. And I want this to be a conversation because uh, there's, as new Muslims, we don't know everything, and there's people here that can also help us with, and share some of their knowledge and some questions and all of that. So I'd like for us to do that. I know that one of the first things as far as eating and drinking, we want to give thanks to Allah for the food and the drink. And we say Bismillah. And, just in the name of Allah. And it's just a blessing to be able to have food and have drinks. So being able to say that is a good thing. And we want to make sure that we're eating and drinking, but not wasting. So we don't want to eat too much. We don't want to take more than we should be taking. And we want to think about those other people that are out there. And Elizabeth can attest to this, going out and feeding the homeless as we do. We want to make sure that we give, not just take for ourselves, but want to give to others, those that are in need of food and drink, things that we kind of take for granted. We want to, receive the rewards of Allah in, some of these manners that we do. Well, most of them is getting a reward from Allah, but a lot of times we don't do things or think about the rewards. We just think about the manners and the goodness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the things that I've heard about it, and I'm just learning more about it as far as, eating with the right hand, which is sunnah, and looking at the left hand as being unclean. And I think we touched on this last week because there's some people that are left-handed that really struggle with that. As far as eating with the right hand, because they're left-handed, of course, that's what they're used to doing. But we also need to look at what we're eating, inspect it, make sure that, we try to eat as halal as possible, but there's sometimes that there's areas that we're in where we're not able to eat halal food. But we want to try and strive, and Allah knows our intention, that we want to eat, that what is good. And when we're finished eating, we want to say Alhamdulillah. We want to praise God for the meal and pray that it will nourish us, our bodies, not only in our body physically, but spiritually as well. So I'd like to hear some other feedback about eating and drinking, if somebody can share their experiences.
Let me just chime in and say a few things. And I think this
Sure.
is one area we hear a lot that Islam is a moderate or a balanced way. And I think this is one area where that's really evident, that we have to recognize that our body is a gift from Allah, and our body actually has rights over us. And so we're prohibited from neglecting our body, and we're also prohibited from harming our body by overindulging. So the moderate way is truly the best way. And we're not supposed to waste. and again, we're not supposed to overindulge. So, alhamdulillah, you know, it's Allah has given us rules in this area that that kind of help us to understand what's important and to constantly be thinking about not only what's best for us, but also what's best for those around us.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty short and sweet, but you know, it's a lot into it, and it's like you said earlier, Amy, just God conscious, being conscious, not rushing to eat without acknowledging where we get our food and where we get all of our blessings from. So I think that's a good thing. I think one of the other subtopics that we had was about the bathroom. I'm not sure if we covered that last week or not. We had covered so much. It seemed like we touched on just about everything, but one of the things that kind of shakes me up sometime is, you know, the good foot, as I put it, you know, the right foot.
Yeah. Sister Martina, I apologize for interrupting. I was hoping that some of our members would speak up a little bit, but if I can talk maybe for just like 5 more minutes on eating and drinking, if you would indulge me.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Some other things that I've read, and again, you know, we're just as Sister Martina said, we're learning ourselves, and so we're sharing with you things that we've heard, and certainly want this to be a dialogue. But I've read that it's preferable not to eat in silence if you're with the group. That it's good manners, good adab to have conversation, and that the conversation should be suitable for the community that you're with, and that it's preferable to wash your hands after you've eaten, just to maintain cleanliness. It's also preferable to make a dua for the host, whoever has prepared the meal. It's good adab to be cognizant of the graciousness that they have extended to you, whether that's, you know, your spouse or your parents or, you know, or someone else. It's you know, I'm kind of brainstorming. I've heard that it's good not to be critical of food. You know, especially if you're with company, if you're eating something that you maybe don't like, that you should not express your disapproval. You should just either, you know, pass it by, or take a little bit and be gracious about it. After all, you know, everything comes from the bounty of Allah, and we should be aware of that. One other thing that I've heard is that it's good adab not to be wasteful, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. Therefore, you don't want to put too much on your plate at the beginning. You want to you know, just put a proper portion, and especially if the food is new and you're not 100% sure that you're going to like it, you know, just put a small amount. That there's nothing wrong about getting seconds or thirds, but you don't want there to be leftovers that you're in a position of needing to throw away or something. That's, yeah, those were the few things that came to my mind. And again, we would really love to hear from some of you guys if there's other things you've heard about manners related to eating and drinking.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I was listening to a lecture about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's drinking, and I think what I heard was when you're drinking, you drink with your right hand and you sit down. And the Prophet ﷺ would take like 3 sips. So one sip, he would remove the cup away from his face so he's not breathing into it, and like a small sip. And then, 2 more times and not just like chugging the whole thing like a water. Yeah.
Yes, yes, excellent point. And along with that, I think it's also recommended that this just seems kind of like common sense, but it bears stating that you shouldn't drink directly from a bottle or a can, even, unless it's an individual bottle or can. That you shouldn't drink from the pitcher out of the refrigerator, for example. Then Sister Bettina, I think you had started talking about adab or manners related to using the toilet, this is an interesting area. So please go ahead.
Yes, it is. And I'm hoping that we can get some feedback from the guys. I wanted to start off. I just, did a little research on manners of using a toilet. And of course, it's separated by men and women, about men. I've heard some things, so I just really need some feedback from the guys. It's like when you use the restroom, I've heard that it's okay for men to sit down. And one of the reasons was because of the urine that could splash back or, sprinkle somewhere, and that would be land on your clothes or your shoes or feet or socks, when you're preparing to pray, preparing wudu or whatever. That's something that I heard. Of course, I don't know because as a female, I don't know. But I wanted to kind of get some feedback from the guys and what they heard about that, or if that's something that they do, and you don't have to disclose that, but if you've heard that is a thing. Rashid?
Personally speaking, yeah, it is a sunnah for men to sit down. And a lot of it has to do with urine, like you spoke of, urine splashing and coming back and dirtying your clothes. Because that's something you should not pray in. You should not pray with urine on your clothes. If you do, you have to, wipe and wash it off. So the safest thing is just to sit down, and whether you're going number 1 or number 2, sit down. They call it a stinja, and then you use like a bottle of water or something, and without getting too graphic, rinse yourself so that there's no urine on you. And after you wipe yourself, put some water on a towel and wipe yourself, and just do your best to make sure there's nothing on you, so that when it is and then it's also a good habit after you use the bathroom, going into the bathroom with your right foot, making dua, use the restroom. Then if you have time to make wudu, and that way you literally keep your wudu throughout the whole day, unless of course you break it in some other fashion. But those are strong sunnahs as far as I understand, and Allah knows best. And Payam and Abdul Qadir and others may have more to add to that, but that's my understanding.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Payam. I think Brother Rashid did a good job summarizing it. And so in most of the masajid, in fact, probably all of the masajid you ever go to, especially if it was a converted space, if it wasn't built specifically for a masjid, most of the time they disabled in the men's section the urinals. And that's so. Those of you that are newer to Islam or have wondered why when you go to the masjid the urinals are perpetually broken, that's the reason why, is to encourage people to use the stalls and to sit down regardless of what's the intended use for it.
And you kind of broke off at the end Payam, but thank you. That was real interesting. I know it was really not confusing. It was troublesome for me when I first became a Muslim and people were telling me that that you need to enter the toilet area with your left foot. And I thought, okay, that's just kind of silly. You know, Allah doesn't care if we use our right foot or our left foot. But when I started reading more about adab, and I learned that that the purpose of adab or manners is really just to focus us on Allah. And I thought, okay, if I'm constantly thinking, okay, am I entering the toilet with my left foot? Then I'm going to remember, oh, I need to use my left foot because Allah commanded me to. And it really put a different meaning in it for me. And I've been trying to do that since I started reading about adab and kind of decided that, okay, this now makes sense to me. And it's kind of interesting how much more I'm thinking about Allah when I'm going to the bathroom. So alhamdulillah, it does serve a purpose, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I just wanted to add to it. I think, like Sister Amy said, it's all about just remembering Allah. And quite literally, Allah gave us the ability to eat and to drink and consume things, but He also gave us the ability to exit those things, to digest that those things we take in, and to have those exit out of our body. And if we really think about like those people who don't have that ability, then maybe they need a colostrophe bag or and things of that nature. So Allah has truly blessed us at the fact that we can even go to the bathroom. So that's how I kind of view as istinja, as a way of thanking Him, remembering Him. And there's a dua you can say when you walk in, and like you said, and hopefully this isn't too much information, but this is the kind of thing, you know, to keep like in your bathroom or whatever to help. For those who might be curious, you know, there's different, and maybe water bottles for work that you can keep at your desk. If you need to use the restroom at work, you can keep a water bottle with you so it doesn't look too strange when you go into the restroom.
So, Salam alaikum,
Yes,
this
I
is
know
Payam
that's a
again.
common thing. Hey,
So I just wanted to add something on my side. It was something I was thinking about prior to tonight's discussion. So anybody that's either Googled adab or read any of the books, and if you haven't, I certainly encourage you to do so. What you'll notice immediately, what some people have commented on tonight and other nights, is there's just pages after pages after pages after pages of different injunctions and different suggestions, and either from the Hadith or from the Quran or from the Sunnah or from later scholars. And some of them can be quite lengthy, and some of them seem to be pedantic, means that they go into a lot of detail. And I've asked myself why. I said, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really care if I use this hand or that hand, or if it's this amount of water or that amount of water, if I took it from a river that was flowing versus a river that was still, or all the details you'll see when you read these adab. And then it occurred to me that the context or the time and place which a lot of these were presented to people, to humanity, was during the time of our Prophet ﷺ. And so these were people that were literally burying their daughters in the sand out of shame or out of not wanting that child. So that's the level at which they were, I'll say, barely human beings. So the technicality and the detail that was required to take these people to what I would call a functioning human being or normal human being was tremendous. And that also means hopefully we've evolved since then as globally, but certainly as Muslims. But it also means we have the ability to revert back to that as well. So while reading some of these, while they look overly technical sometimes, I think we should remind ourselves of where we've come from and to hold fast to these as much as practically possible within our current society, our current culture. Because it does take something as mundane as going to the bathroom or drinking a glass of water and turns it to a spiritual event, as long as our intent is to follow what God requires of us. So that put, at least for me, that puts some of these things into a broader context.
Thank you, Payan. One other thing that I notice is, when we go in the bathroom, we don't want to recite Quran. We don't give the greeting, Assalamu alaikum. We try to, to me, it seems like we just want to go in, take care of our business, and get out. It's not a place where you have idle chatter or just, hang out in the bathroom, because it's deemed an unclean place. So we just want to go in and get out. I did have to learn that the hard way. As a new Muslim, I used to go into the bathroom and there's sisters in there and I'm giving them salams and nobody would give me salams back. And I was just always wondering why, what's going on. And I just found out that, that's not a place where we do that. So I was kindly told that and I learned that lesson. So that was really good. For me, has anybody else had any other experiences as far as in the bathroom and, the manners that we should do? And do you think that, going in and getting out, that's just, serving the purpose of, going to the bathroom? If we have to make wudu, I think that's a good idea, what you brought up, Rashid, as far as, every time you use the bathroom, if you make wudu, you're always, a lot of times you're in the state of wudu a lot. And that really saves a lot of time for me, especially when I was going to work, because I'm always ready, for my prayers. So that worked out for me really well. So if anybody else has anything they want to add to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. This is Devin.
Hey.
Well, like I said,
I used to read my Quran on the toilet. I used to sit down and be reading it. And, I found out that you're not supposed to bring anything bearing the name, Quran or bearing the name Allah in the toilet. So even if you got like a chain that say Allah on it, you're not supposed to bring it with you in the bathroom. So,
yeah.
So no reading the Quran on the toilet.
Yeah. and I liked your comment also that even if you have, a piece of jewelry or something that has the name of Allah on it, you're not supposed to have it on when you go in the toilet. Yeah.
And you're supposed to be quiet as well. You're not supposed to talk to people.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's Elizabeth.
Wa alaikum salam.
And not really too much to the manners piece, but kind of back to what Brother Rashid had mentioned about, what we're actually really lucky that our bodies function in the way that they do, even though it seems like an inconvenience. I always, Sister Martina, as a fellow Trekkie, I'm a Star Trek person, I'm a sci-fi person, and before becoming Muslim, I used to always joke that, I wish there was some upgrade we could do to our bodies to just, like somehow compact the waste and be able to, dispose of it like a composting bin at a time that's convenient for us, and not have to always be answering the call of nature and things like this. And clearly that's not how we're designed, but it just, as things happen in life, I work for the Department of Public Health now, and we oversee different types of medical facilities, but one of the facilities that we oversee a lot are dialysis clinics. And I think just having now going to these clinics and seeing people who are at end stage, like renal failure, and oh my gosh, like just what a blessing, just to go to the bathroom naturally and like relieve yourself and empty your bladder and have kidneys that work. So it's kind of changed my entire perception on, I don't view now going to the restroom and doing the things that we do there as like an inconvenience. It's like a blessing. Oh my gosh, subhanAllah, the body he created and the systems he created, Allah is the best of mechanical, electrical, and civil engineers, right? And then on top of that, alhamdulillah, that our bodies work and we're not, suffering from, any number of diseases that could affect our bathroom processes. So I don't know, just my 2 cents on that topic.
It's like we don't appreciate how perfect our bodies are until something doesn't work quite perfectly anymore. And it's, yeah. And it can be a blessing to come to that realization. And maybe sometimes when we do suffer or we are exposed to people who have difficulties physically, that we kind of learn to appreciate how perfect Allah's design of us is.
And I think that kind of goes to the eating and drinking as well. I mean, that's why we fast, you know, to bring awareness to those who don't have food and to make us more compassionate towards those people. And, you know, so it's just all very interesting. You know, what I used to think was a coincidence is clearly, you know, very intentionally by design. So, subhanAllah.
Anybody else? Amy, you have anything to add about the toilet?
No, and I think respecting others is a big topic. So
Oh yes,
want to move on?
That's exactly where I'm going. So that's wonderful. I did want to, you know, just read a quote about good manners to our parents and others. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Surely I was only sent to perfect the best of manners." And so for this reason, we want to make sure that we always have good manners. Our manners should include everyone, you know, not just your parents and Muslims, but also non-Muslims. We are basically out here in the world, in this dunya, and we have a duty, you know, to show good manners to everyone. It's not only attractive to others to want to engage with us, but it's also, it could be a detractor too if we're not, you know, showing good manners to everyone that we encounter. So that's a big one on me. The parents, and a lot of us are parents. So we want to make sure that we give our parents the utmost respect. And I think this came up before, and I don't know if anybody else has ever heard this, but what if you feel that your parent was not a good parent, you know, did not do the things that normal parents would do as far as care and taking care of you? Do you still respect them? And I believe that we do have to give them our respect, and just like anybody else. So that's a big a note that actually came up in one of our other talks about respecting parents that may not have basically have respected us. But this is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as far as how we treat our parents. As far as respecting others, you know, whether we're in school or work or just walking down the street, anything, we want to make sure that we give good manners and good respect. And so you might want to say, well, what is that? You know, what is good respect? What is good manners toward others? And just having, I guess for myself, I just try to humble myself. I try not to, Allah has blessed me with so much and with so many people, and being able to speak out and talk about his goodness, that I should never try and never raise myself up as I'm bigger than anyone else or have more than anyone else. I try to always humble myself and lower myself so that I'm able to give those good manners and give that just being attractive, not physically, but, you know, inviting, I guess that's what you would call it, and not push people away. So part of my tactic is just always being humble and always being able to exude that humbleness, which again will attract other people to me. We must respect everyone. We must not swear. No, everybody, this should be a misnomer. Everybody should know that, you know, we shouldn't swear, but, you know, there's been situations and times, and, you know, you're driving your car, you may be, you know, somebody may cut you off and you just might, you know, go off the handle, but and those are natural, you know, natural attributes, natural things that may happen, but we try not to. Of course, not hitting others, not teasing, not bullying, stealing, being rude. I mean, these are things that that we as adults know, but I think it's really important for us to show our children on how to behave, and the best way for us to show them is to do it ourselves, be an example, to others, and speaking nice to others, speaking nice to our children, and treat others how we would like to be treated. I think that's like, it's called the golden rule, but that really kind of says everything. Anything that we do, anything that we say, we want to just do it the way that we would like to be treated, which will, of course, be a really good thing. And even those non-believers, people that come up against you, may persecute you, may, you're going through something at work that, people are, I mean, I've been in situations where I've been shunned against or shot down for certain things. It's important for me to keep that level of respect and professionalism, even in situations where I feel like it may not warrant it. And a lot of times I've been in the situation where I said, thank God I'm Muslim, because if I wasn't Muslim, if I was back in my day, boy, I would let them have it, boy, I would go off. So alhamdulillah, the religion itself, it just gives me a sense of humbleness and peace, and knowing that I must always show that when I'm out in the streets and out, and about with other people. So I'd like to hear from everyone. Please speak up and let me know how you respect others in your daily life.
Assalamu alaikum, it's Sister Rena. So I wanted to add to something in regards to respecting others. Something I like to keep in mind is basically, we as Muslims, we're not perfect, but Islam is. Therefore, we may make mistakes, but the best thing we can do for ourselves is just constantly show people that respect. We're representing a religion, regardless if you show it or not, you're still representing it. And basically, even if people aren't good to you, still be good to them. Show them your character, show them you, basically. And that's the best we can do for ourselves, because me personally, being a convert, my family has not always agreed with my decisions. And the best thing to do is just to stay quiet. They could say what they say and kind of let it be. Like, show them how good you are based on your character, rather than getting angry and disrespecting them back. Because if you show them your good side, that's basically showing them, they'll realize in their eyes, like, oh, okay, they converted to Islam and now they're being a better person, basically. So respect is a really big thing in Islam as well.
Alhamdulillah, I totally agree with that. And I think that especially when you're experiencing difficulty, and especially for converts that maybe have family issues, like Sister Rena was saying, that if you respond to criticism or difficulty with respect, that you're respecting yourself. And that you're finding, you will find peace within yourself. It may not resolve the difficulty, but you will feel better. And like Sister Rena was saying, you are displaying Islam in a very positive way. And there's many verses in the Quran that talk about the importance of respecting parents in particular. And there's one verse that talks about that, that it says something to the effect that don't forget that even if you're having difficulty with somebody, with parents, that you're that their rights are multiples of the difficulty that you might be experiencing. That parents just have almost unlimited rights in regards to our respect. We may disagree with them, and we certainly can, but We're supposed to do, just really go to long lengths to be kind to our parents, not to talk to them in a negative way with contempt. We're not supposed to walk ahead of our parents. We're not supposed to overspeak them. We're supposed to, just as Sister Martina was saying, we're supposed to be humble, especially in regards to our parents, even if we're not going, to maybe obey a command that they might give us. We can still respond with respect and kindness and humility.
Yeah,
So,
one
Malik,
of the other things that, walaikum salam,
I was,
Elizabeth. I just wanted to say real quickly that
yeah, go.
one thing that we have is our parents. When our parents make dua for us, it's a really big blessing. I mean, it's huge. And I always, and alhamdulillah, my mother is Muslim. I ask her for everything. Please make dua for me, mom. I don't even know if she knows how important it is or why am I always asking her to make dua for me. Because I believe that her dua is always accepted. And if she's that special dua for me, I just feel like, whatever that desire is, whatever I'm asking for, Allah will bless me because of my mom. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I was just going to say too, like, my dad used to have a saying, my parents aren't Muslim. My kids aren't Muslims. I'm really the only Muslim in my family, as most of you know. But, my dad used to have a saying. He would say, oh, so you were nice to the person who was nice to you? So what? That's easy. Like, you got to be nice to the person who wasn't nice to you. And, such a simple lesson in life. But I think, becoming Muslim and wearing the hijab, experiencing a few little, effects from that in society and people, perhaps being rude to me in a way that never happened before. I think that's a really great opportunity to show that respect because, like Sister Martina, non-Muslim Elizabeth would have handled that in a completely different way, right? But so Muslim Elizabeth has to show restraint and, class because why, you can't bring that negativity on the deen. We already have it, an image bad enough, right? So I think it's so easy to respect, the people who are loving and supportive of us, but I think we really have to dig down and be respectful of the ones who sometimes are just downright nasty and downright rude. And we just want to say one more thing on respect. There are certainly people in our lives who are toxic, and I don't think respect means putting up with anyone who's truly like toxic, but there's still ways to show that person love, perhaps from a distance and perhaps from afar. And in a way that makes sense for our, emotional and mental health. So, I just wanted to say that too. Maybe someone else wants to talk about that. I don't know.
I'll make a quick comment on that. I think that's an excellent point. And I've always thought, okay, I need to stay away from that person, but I need to pray for that person. And I need to, have a cleanness in my heart that maybe I feel sorry for them, but I don't get angry with them because I realize that their toxicity is actually a reflection of them. And so I try not to take, I often fail, but I think it's incumbent upon us to try to not take it personally and to feel sorry for that person and to pray for that person that they find some peace and some help.
I just wanted to quickly add that in Surah Luqman, ayat number 14, and I won't read the surah and get all into it, but it really talks about the parents and that the mother and what she went through to bore us, for us to be born. I mean, and that was a lot of pain, and that was a lot of things that they went through. So I think sometimes when we're dealing with our non-Muslim mothers and non-Muslim parents, we have to remember that. And even on our birthday, we need to remember what all they went through. And everyone here, I would assume, comes from families that are predominantly non-Muslim. And the holidays are coming up, and we're going to have to deal with all of that. But I think Amy hit the point on the head in that even though some people may be mean to us or whatnot, we still should be respectful to them, because we have to show good character. And it doesn't mean we need to abandon everything that's going to be going on in the next 3 months, even though COVID is still here. But showing kindness towards our families, there's so many rewards and benefits in that. And lastly, I was just reminded of a story of the Prophet ﷺ. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was a guy who became Muslim, and his mother hated Muslims. She couldn't stand Muslims, and she wasn't only gonna just show her hate towards her husband, towards her son, but herself. She said she was gonna starve herself. And so that was hurting the son, because obviously he loves his mother. So he did not want to see her harm herself. But through his good character and through his efforts, she ended up not or doing away with starving herself, and ended up taking Shahada because of her good character and the goodness that she could see in her own son. And that story is always a reminder to me that we need to show good character to the people that are around us, and especially our mothers.
I would like to share something as well. So I'm a convert. I think I mentioned that earlier. My parents, they're new to the whole like accepting me being Muslim and whatnot. But this is just a short story on like what can happen like if you show goodness and things like that. So my family went out camping or something, and I've never been a fan of that, so I'd never ever go. And I think this was probably a year into me doing my Shahada. And like at first, like with my parents trying to accept everything, my mom told me like, oh, you're not going anywhere with me with that rag on your head, this and that, right? But then like a year in, she got more comfortable with me being Muslim and the religion. She doesn't really know too much about it, but basically there was Muslims camping as well, and they asked my mom like, oh, can you turn down your music? We're gonna pray really quick. And then my mom said, yeah. And then she came home, she told me that story, and she was like, oh yeah, these Muslims were praying and they asked me to turn down my music. She was like, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have, but you know, so like good can still come like from people being good to other people. So my mom knows obviously of the religion more because of me, and then she did a civil gesture to someone else.
Alhamdulillah.
One other thing I want to mention was our neighbors. How many of us know our neighbors? I mean, that is another really touching point, because, you know, a lot of times I talk to people, I'm just outgoing like that, and I'll go and knock on people's doors and, you know, talk to them, Muslim or non-Muslim, mostly non-Muslim. And I found that, you know, it's important for us to interact with our neighbors, get to know our neighbors, so that they can see the goodness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think that Islam warns us against being bad to our neighbors, or not. Even during Ramadan, I like to prepare little gifts, little things, little cards, you know, what is Ramadan? They're curious about me already. So I think that's a great opportunity to make dawah, and also to show that kindness towards our neighbors. And if you can ask people right now, what's your next door neighbor's name? Who are your neighbors? I love my neighbor. She's very nosy. She tells me everything. And my granddaughter complains that, you know, she's too nosy. She's always in our business or whatever, but I love it, you know, and I look out for her. We look out for each other. So that's a question that we need to ask each other, you know, or ask ourselves, is who are our neighbors?
Yeah. I think that's an excellent point, and kind of along those lines, I think in addition to neighbors, there are some other people that are groups that are especially mentioned as being worthy of our good manners and our respect, in addition to parents. And that's our elder brother and sisters, our aunts and uncles, elders in general, our teachers, We're encouraged to visit the poor. We're encouraged to visit the sick, and people that are just, a little bit more needing of support.
Anybody have any feedback about that? Teachers, aunts, uncles, elders, anybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, we
Muslim or
need
non-Muslim,
to
exactly.
respect all of those. And I'm just really blessed to have a family that, I'm the oldest in my family, so I get a lot, and I have to, accept a lot. And again, I have non-Muslim and Muslim, I have to listen to them, and, I think they just respect me as an elder. I hate to call myself that, but they just, they just give me that. And it's just a matter of status, I guess, with them, those that are non-Muslim. But I think it's really important that respecting of people in general is very important. It shows a lot. It shows our character, and it just is very, very important. So I think that's one of the most important ones that I think that we follow every day, is to carry that level of respect with people, respecting people in general.
I grew up in Alabama, and it used to be part of the culture to, if you'd go to the mall or to a store, and there was an elderly person, kind of walking behind you, you would open the door for them and let them go into the store first. Or if you were at a red light and there was an elder, you would kind of help them to cross the street, or maybe walk behind them and make sure they were able to cross the street by themselves. If you were on a bus and a woman or an elder came in after you, all the young people would immediately stand up and offer their seat. And I think we've moved away from that culturally as a society. We've moved away from that, but I think those were Islamic values, even though my childhood, I wasn't a Muslim, but they're still Muslim traits, and just kind of acts of respect and decency.
Absolutely.
And I guess along those lines, and I guess to piggyback almost what Sister Rena was saying, I think showing a good character and a good adaptive family is important, because in the long run, what'll happen is when you start having family dinners, they're gonna, if they eat pork, let's say, they're gonna make sure that there's stuff there for you. Like, okay, they'll make some greens, but they'll make another pot without the pork, or they'll make dressing without the pork. Or when it's time for you to pray, they're gonna know that you need to pray, so they're actually gonna clean a room and make space for you. It's not easy, and it takes time, but I think as long as we're steadfast and we're firm and we're consistent and we're showing good character, and the family sees that, they are going to start making a way for you. Trust me, that is going to happen by the mercy of Allah.
Hopefully so.
Inshallah. Yep, that's a good one.
We've only got a few minutes left in our time, and I would love for Brother Rashid, I would love for you to kind of tell us about what we're going to talk about next week, the halakha that's starting next week, because this is pretty exciting.
Okay, yeah, we're, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start next Wednesday, and it's going to last 6 weeks, where Imam Yasser Khan, who is one of the imams here in Sacramento, born in the United States, studied over in South Africa, and then came back. But his recitation is impeccable. He recites really, really well. But we're going to basically walk through all of the things that we recite during the prayer. Al-Fatiha, surah, and then 2 short surahs. But not only that, all the other little things that we say during the prayer, what they mean, what they're about. So that way, inshallah ta'ala, our prayer means more to us. We're not just reciting words, but we actually know what those words mean. So it's just a way to get closer to Allah and make our prayer even better than what it is now. So we're working on a flyer now, but for your own calendars, it's going to be 6:30 to 7:30, starting next week through December 16th, which is the third Wednesday in December, inshallah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's Amy, I see what you put in the chat. If everyone here, if we don't have your number, we'd like to add you to our database. So you can private message if you don't want everybody to have your number or email, but we'd love to stay in contact with you and get you updated, make sure you get the flyers and everything that's going on that we have. We want to make sure we get that to you. So please send us your information.
Wonderful. So, Sister Martina, do you want to close us with a dua?
You can go ahead, Amy.
I'll be glad to. Appreciate everybody's attendance tonight. Hopefully it's been helpful. And we will update the WhatsApp chat. And if there's any comments, any subjects that y'all are particularly interested in, we will be developing our program materials for January pretty soon. So please let us know any personal problems that you're having. There's somebody that you could talk to. Let's thank Allah. Assalamu alaikum. We want to thank you for your bounty and your graciousness and your mercy. We thank you for offering us a platform to commune with each other. And we ask for your blessings, and we ask for your guidance in our daily lives and in everything we do. Assalamu alaikum.